everyone? Scott Hansen here from NFL Red Zone. I hope you're checking out 1 hour of 5 Yard Rush, one of the best podcasts on NFL football in the UK.
Hello, Rush Nation, and welcome back to the Flagship Show. I'm going to guide you through this one as always. I'm Dan, and you will be pleased to see the big man Murf is back with us this week after his little hiatus. How are you, Murf? You well?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'd love to say I was having a barrel of laughs.
You was at work, I believe.
I was at work. I was on the train back, and I thought I probably can't do a pod on a full train.
No.
I don't know. Maybe I could. Maybe I could have.
We did do one, if I remember rightly, right at my outset when you was walking from the station to home, though.
There was a day I bought my house. Yeah, it was literally the day I completed on my house. So I had to go into London to do some bits as part of that. And then, so that was a weird one because I was sort of walking around. I was on my phone. I was sort of dialed in. Yeah. But yeah, with trains, the connections is nowhere near as good on trains as it is on your phone. So I just didn't bother really. To be honest, you got Evan on, who did a better job than I would have done.
Awesome, wasn't he?
He was great. He was cracking.
Awesome.
Well, definitely, I spoke to him last week and said we're getting back on in a few weeks' time, and absolutely for sure. So, no, yeah, shame. I hate missing shows. I don't miss too many, although I've recently missed a couple for last minute reasons, and I'm hoping I know there's going to be one coming up very soon for a work event, but other than that, I think that's going to be me. No, the day job. Unfortunately, this doesn't quite pay all the bills yet. So you can see I'm in a different room in my house today as well, and that's why I
noticed. Yeah, there's no bookshelves overflowing behind you.
No,
it's a lovely beam of sunshine coming from the side.
Yeah, this is my garage conversion. So
okay.
This is where the wife usually works. Just my office is a bit of a mess upstairs. I'm trying to put kiddo to sleep, so I don't want to wake him up.
Yeah.
So but this is going to be an awesome show. I'm looking forward to this because we were going to do this last week, and then I got called in like very last minute because I always say I'm never going in on Mondays. I always tell my boss like, no, I'm not going in on Mondays. It's not happening. But he's like, he begged me. He paid my ticket to go in. Like that's how much he wanted me to go in. So I was like,
nice. I'd love to have that luxury. Love to have that luxury.
When he asks you last minute, you're like, well, okay, it's got to happen, isn't it? So.
But aside from working, I know you've been super busy working, and the eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed the little 5 Yard Rush logo that's up in the top right has changed. Murf, tell us what they're looking at.
So this is the front cover of the 2022 playbook. It's written, it's done. It's just final formatting tweaks. Which Stocks and Lee, I've handed the book off. So for me, it's done. Right?
Good.
I'm not good.
No more deleting it off your laptop before it all goes.
No more deleting off it. No more corrupted files. No more having to rewrite stuff. For me, it's edited. It's written. It's done.
Awesome.
It's just a few little tweaks to make it nice, and that's all Lee mostly. Although Stocks does a huge part of it as well. So between them, they're very much the visual creative art side of 5 Yard Rush. So the two of them have got the book and they're making it into the presentable form that it is. So it's nearly done. I'm told. I haven't been officially told this, but I'm gonna
break it right now.
I'm gonna break it because I'm gonna commit them to the deadline. That it's going to be out next Monday.
Yeah, and there's Stocks messaging. What on earth is he doing saying
that? there'll be a live chat coming up like, what's he doing?
Right on cue.
It also wouldn't be the first time I pulled a stunt like this. It should be, barring any major collapse, delay, deletion, should be out on the website next Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, it's kind of up to Amazon. So Amazon, if you buy it on Amazon print to order.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't get it printed. Amazon do it. This is the behind the scenes of making a book kind of thing, right? So we upload the book to Amazon so that they can just print it on order. But it's down to them for when they put it in the store. So we're going to try and do it in advance of Monday. Yeah. It might be Monday. If it's not there Monday, it'll be very soon. Like it's kind of, that's the one part of the whole chain that's really out of our hands, is that Amazon printed part. But expect it within the next 7 days and it will be out. So yeah, really exciting times to have the book out, and can't wait for people to order it, to read it, and to enjoy it. It should be. Very few people have seen it.
Yep.
The feedback
And
I've
inside
had
the cover
is
and the back cover, but I've seen nothing inside.
no. People have told me from the very few that have seen it that it feels very progressive and it builds on from the previous versions. And there's a lot more strategy in there, especially in-season strategy, and a lot of cool stuff in there in terms of managing your benches, what to do with Fab, how to get your rosters ready for playoffs, the intricacies of things that you don't get time to really do, and that we kind of do a little bit on the pod, but we don't probably do as much as should be done.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that because it's a physical product, it should help, and people can read it and absorb it and use it as a strategy guide to take loads of notes. We're putting it on the nice paper that you can write quality notes on. It doesn't bleed through either. So yeah, fingers crossed. Monday website will be ebook only. So I need to make this very clear. Website is ebook only. Amazon is the only place you can buy a printed copy, except for there will be somewhere else where people can buy printed copies, but they'll have to wait for a certain date in July for that.
Super. And there may, breaking news, be some available to purchase at UK FFC next month.
There will be.
So if you go in and want to get your hands on a physical copy, maybe even ask the big man to sign it for you while he's there, or me.
Yeah.
Just saying. You're more than welcome to. And I'm sure there'll probably be some available to pick up and walk out the door with on the day.
There absolutely will be. There'll be a way to buy physical copies at the UK FSC. So we will be bringing some with us. So,
or we could just buy one, roll it up, and whack Rich with it. Perfect.
Well, we saw this is an insider to the 5-year rush chat, and we'll get to what we're talking about in a minute. Inside the 5-year rush chat there's a picture of Stocks, and he's met someone from the 5-year rush crew. It's Rich. It's Dynasty Island Rich. And
he met somebody, and nobody knew who he was. Yeah.
Because he didn't have his glasses, and no one knew who he was. Wow, I tell you, I thought it was JJ Zacharias until I realised it was.
He's a bit far afield for him, but sorry, Rich, I didn't recognise you in the slightest. I'm afraid I have to say. So. I've never met Rich in person, so I'm going to use that one to my defence.
100%. So it did look very different. It was. Let's see if Rich posts it on Twitter. I'm just a challenge now to see if he posts it on Twitter. Post that picture because he looks very different. And then one other bit of news from me. So loads of people we know are in the Scottish Bowl. It's amazing. When I joined in Scottish Bowl 8, there was like 5 from the UK. There weren't many of us, and now there's a plethora of people. I think we're approaching 40 nearly people in the Scottish Bowl from the UK, which is phenomenal. But there is a Scottish Bowl podathon. I will be on that on the 10th of July. Podathon's going to start on the 9th of July, and then I'm joining them for the night shift, which is 8:30 a.m. It's a Sunday. I'm going to be on a stag do, so I'm going to be either severely hungover or still drunk. I have warned.
Great fun.
I have warned the organisers that is the state I will be in. They are still happy to proceed. So instead of nothing else, it'll be interesting. So yeah, so it'll be fun. So Podathon 8:30 a.m. on the 10th. It will be very fun, and there's loads of cool stuff.
SFB or not, listen, there's so many 100%. Insightful people on there talking so much fantasy stuff. The whole thing around Scottish Bowl does so much for the community. It's a way of donating. There's no entry to Scottish Bowl, so it's those extra things that look for donations to help. So if you tune in for a little bit, a long bit, whatever it is, try and give something back where you can.
100%. They raised 40 grand. Raised 40 grand last year on the Podathon.
Yeah.
And we'll probably give some stuff away as well on the Podathon. And I think loads of other pods give away loads of stuff. So even if you just want something really cool, fantasy related, there's ways in which you can get some really cool, unique stuff. Not that should be the reason why you should tune in, but it's like a nice additional bonus to it. So it's a great show. It's like I don't know how. I don't think it's quite 24 hours. It might be 24 hours. I lose count. It's the 5th year. Anyway, it's awesome. So do tune in. there will be an opportunity to catch up. It's on YouTube and stuff, so you'll be able to catch up. They'll have a full running list, but anybody who's anybody. Matthew Berry will do a segment. The Fantasy Footballers will do a segment. JJ Zachariason will do a segment. There'll be a lot more other people, depending on availability. But it's some amazing people. So, looking forward to that one. So that will be on. And then the last one is the FFCC.
Yes.
So the FFCC is effectively full. It's not quite. There is giveaway spots, but we're not doing any more to the public.
All 6 at the table are reserved.
Effectively, all seats are reserved. So we're giving away 3 on this pod. The Dynasty podcast is giving away a couple. The UKFFC is giving away a couple.
Yep.
There's a few other. The college guys have got a couple. So there's a few different places. The Fast Action Friday guys have got 1 spot. So follow Rob at 5Rob on Twitter to find out that one. But anyway, there's literally just a handful of spots left. If you do want into the FFCC, it's a great field. We've added even more brilliant people this year than ever, and I'm looking forward to having everybody involved.
Such a unique format as well for a fantasy competition.
It is. It's best ball. You can literally.
It's an FA Cup style knockout, right?
It is exactly that. And every dog has its day. We had people last year knocking out Joe Pisapia and Pat Fitzmaurice and Joe Dolan. And I mean, we're talking about people who might not have ever won a fantasy league. That was the best bit about it. It's proper. It's a proper day for the Joes versus the pros because it's best ball. It levels the playing field massively. I mean, Andy Singleton, a good friend of mine who runs Expand the Box Score, did win it. But Jack Humphrey was our first ever winner.
He was.
Vigard from Norway was our second ever winner, and we finally got an American winner. So that's 3 different countries in 3 years. That tells you how much of a leveler it is. So if you just want to play fantasy and have a laugh, we're just going to give away 3 spots. What's the best way to? We haven't discussed this, but what's the best way to give it away? You're the creative genius behind them.
I am not the creative genius in the slightest. And you give my other NFL pod one, I believe, 3rd and goal.
I did.
Away. So the guys are doing that tomorrow in my absence. So keep an eye out for that as well. Best way to give one away. What do you reckon, Murf? Do you want to do like a Q&A show coming up or something? We've got space to do that.
Yeah, well, let's
Maybe get some questions sent in and we'll do a full Q&A show and somebody who gets their question out will be picked or something like that. I don't know.
All right, let's do that. So the 4th, let's give it 2 weeks. 4th of July, let's do that. All right, so 4th of July, so 2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
I'll put it as our pinned tweet. I'll do like a Google form of questions.
Yeah.
And we'll pick the best 3 between us.
Yeah.
We'll answer more, but we'll pick the 3 winners from the 3 best questions.
I like that.
And we'll do a Q&A show. But the 3 best questions will get the spot. I like that. Yeah.
Me too.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
2 weeks from now, 4th of July. Good day to do it as well, 4th of July. And it, preferably fantasy related, but technically could be about anything you want.
You've opened it right up there, Murf.
if you want to get creative, why not? Then do so. Definitely get involved in all the best ways that you can. It'll be definitely a fun show. So I'll put a pin tweet up and we'll go from there. Haven't forgotten about the other competition we've done, which is the giveaway of the consistency guide. That will be done this week. Well, left it open to try and get a few more, as well as also the winners into the Steve Rains Bowl. So you still have time to enter into the Steve Rains Bowl and the consistency guide. We're gonna pull the winners on Friday. So if you want to win a copy of the consistency guide, you need to watch the show with Bob Lung, and it will tell you how to win. And if you want to win a spot into the Steve Rains Bowl, and there's literally very limited, so I think Jack is giving away spots to pods and things, and then there'll be some sort of sign up, but it's not a big thing. It's a very exclusive tournament because of the nature of it, and honouring Steve, who's such a brilliant bloke, and such a massive part of fantasy football and the community in the UK. So we have 5 spots to give away. So you have to listen to episode 600 with Jack, who guested on there, and follow the instructions on there. So the easiest way to do that is listen to or follow 600 on YouTube, and watch the episode there, because the instruction is YouTube related.
Okay.
So
wow, that feels like a promo hour.
That was a promo heavy bit, but there was a lot going on, and there is a lot going on, and always is a 5 yard, and great opportunity to plug all the other podcasts that we do with the Dynasty guys tomorrow, the college guys on Wednesday. Fast Action Friday will be coming back for the season. So there's lots and lots going on here at 5 Yard Rush. So
that's it, right? I mean, it's July, season's not until
next
September,
week,
but this is the real time that now our season starts ramping up. Everyone's looking at ahead, everyone's looking at drafts, everyone's looking at rankings and these competitions, and we haven't even mentioned Warrior Bowl in there as well, another huge tournament that's giving out invites at the minute. Everyone's starting to take these scorings and roster settings and setups and mock drafting them and compiling ADP data and doing their own rankings for it. It's a busy time of year. It's probably busier now than actually it is come week one.
Yeah.
So, this is where your prep that you put in now will make a difference.
It's important. And that's why this show is going to be really important today, because I feel like now the ADP has been wonky. If you're a real draft enthusiast, you get very wonky ADP, and a lot of it is because people are in dynasty mode, people are in best ball mode. The ADP kind of goes literally all over the map. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go through your PPR rankings in redraft, my PPR rankings in redraft. And we're going to compare them against the consensus.
We are.
Which is the FantasyPros expert consensus ranking. And we're going to go through all of them. And we're going to, the 4 main positions, the skill positions. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick out some trends. So this might be where one of us is higher than consensus, both of us are higher than consensus, and wildly, like a position here and there isn't like you have someone ranked at 2.
That's opinion. That's an
3.
opinion.
But 2 and 3 is never going to be a huge jump. One spot in the rankings. But we're going to go through and we're going to pick out, are we both higher than the consensus on a player? Is one of us much higher on a player, or is one of us much lower? Why is that? And then if you've got questions as we're going through this, then come through and ask them. And join on YouTube, join on Facebook. That's where we will see the questions populate through, and on Twitch as well. The questions, a couple of people said, I asked you questions on Twitter and you never get to them. They don't populate in here. I don't know why. It's something to do with the software.
Facebook and YouTube, I believe, do.
Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch do.
Okay, cool.
So if you're watching,
there you go.
Yeah, you and I are on Twitch.
Hey, I don't know what it is, but cheers.
It's a gaming platform.
Cool. There you go. I'm educated today.
Yeah, there you go. So we're on Twitch. Apparently, it's pretty cool with the millennials.
Cool. If I knew one, I'd be fine. So where are we going to start? QBs.
Absolutely, most important position. So pop it open, my friend.
Try and share my screen, which is something I haven't done here before, so do bear with everybody.
Yeah, you can hit share and then share.
I'm working on it.
If you share Chrome tab or whatever tab, it tends to be better than the whole desktop.
It should be sharing. How does that look?
It's just loading.
Showing on mine.
There we go. You need to zoom. Okay, so if you go to view, you see where the 100% is? Under the view. So go across the tool. Okay. So we got file, edit, view. This is great audio, by the way. I'm going to leave it in the podcast, just embarrass you. File, edit, view.
You're back on the sheet.
Yeah, back on the sheet. Sorry. Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah, perfect.
Can we all see that?
Yeah. In fact, I'm going to move us down here so we get an even bigger view. So there we go. So
awesome. Move it.
So we've got the expert consensus on the left. You're in the middle. I'm on the right. So, really realistically, we've all got Josh Allen at 1.
Yep.
You have Herbert at 3. Yep. Me and the consensus have it at 2. The first one that jumps off the page is where I have Tom Brady ranked versus you and the consensus. Consensus has Tom Brady at 8. You have Tom Brady at 7. I have him at 3.
Correct.
Um,
Why am I there? Is your question, I suppose?
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I could justify my own position, but mine's pretty straightforward. One, it's where he finished last year. Two, he's got arguably no one's left. Gronk's coming back. We know Gronk's coming back. I know it's not official, but Gronk's coming back. So it's instead of Antonio Brown, who walked out on the team, you've got Russell Gage, who's going to at least be there the whole season. I know the Godwin thing, he's not going to be there for a couple of games, maybe. But that's not going to. He wasn't there for a couple of games last season. It didn't affect Tom Brady in any way. He's going to throw for 5,000 yards. He's going to throw for 40 touchdowns. He's going to finish top 3. I just don't see any other. I don't see any other outcome. I just don't.
For me, I've got him there purely as the best of the rest behind what we call the kind of pure rushing upside QBs. Those ones that potentially, and you look at it last year, Jackson missed games, Murray missed games.
Yeah.
Hurts has had an upgrade at receiver. So I think Brady and Hurts especially could go any way round. But I think he's potentially best of the rest because of the upside the rush and the rest of them offer you. For me.
So I've got Hurts considerably below. So you and the consensus are at 6. I have Hurts at 10 because I'm not sold on Jalen Hurts.
I like Jalen Hurts. I think he proved himself last year. I think it was a big year for him. I think he did that. He took a team to the playoffs that was a poor team.
1, I don't think they were a poor team. 2, I don't think Jalen Hurts took them to the playoffs. I think the defense took them to the playoffs. Jalen Hurts was terrible in games through the first 3 quarters, and then it came to quarter 4. He scrambled. The defense made enough plays to keep him in the game, and Hurts pulled out. Absolute. Listen, don't get me wrong. 4th quarter, Jalen Hurts. If he played like that for the first 3 quarters, he's probably QB1.
Yeah.
But his split between what he does in the first 3 quarters of games and what he does in the 4th quarter, it just takes him too long. He's so bad in the first half. Good teams punished the Eagles last year. Look at the Buccaneers in the playoffs. They were out of sight at halftime because good teams will punish them because it takes Jalen Hurts in that offense. It just takes him too long to get going there. And the thing is, he will score a lot of points with his legs, and he is a very safe QB. And 100% he's a QB1.
Yeah.
But you can talk about the QB upgrade, and I agree with you. But I don't see. Wide receiver upgrade. Yeah, okay, he's got AJ Brown, but it just means Devonta Smith is going backwards. The number of targets doesn't increase. The number of throws he's going to make isn't going to increase. It just means that he's got a slightly better catching target who's going to make a few more plays for him, and you're going to see maybe a couple of 100 yards of passing go extra his way, maybe even an extra 300. He's not going to be like, he's not throwing for another 1,000 yards because AJ Brown's there. It's not like AJ Brown's going for 1,500 yards and Devonta Smith's going for 1,500 yards. Like that's just not going to happen. It's not how the Eagles play football. So it's going to have to come with his legs. And I just don't trust his arm ability to put up enough. So I could get on board with the thinking of Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray. And Lamar Jackson finished as the number 1 QB. Anyone says to me, I've got Lamar Jackson over Tom Brady, I go, yeah, okay, I can buy that. I can buy Kyler Murray. I can't get on board with Jalen Hurts. Like listen, I've got him at 10. There's no disrespect to him, and he could easily outperform that, but I can't see him finishing above 8th because I think he's just so limited in what he does. Whereas, everybody else there. Like I can understand the logic on Mahomes and Jackson and Murray, and to a degree Rodgers. I don't think Rodgers will ever outscore Brady in the current set, and the consensus tends to agree with us here. So I just think, that's my worry with Jalen Hurts. It took him too long to get into games last season, and they have a tougher schedule this year than they did last year. So that would be interesting. What I do like here is you and I both have Joe Burrow at 12. And the consensus has him at 7. So I love that because I think you and I are on the same page with Burrow, that it's not a fact of it's not the fact.
It's not an ability question. It's a fantasy-based question.
100% that. Great QBs.
That's what people confuse this year, I think.
Yeah.
He was a losing Super Bowl QB. He must be good. Yeah, he's phenomenal. He is
Great
not going
player.
to score you top QB points in a fantasy-related situation. He's going off redraft boards as top 4, top 5 pick. He is never, ever going to return that, ever, because of the way they play.
No. I've just been asked this. Why Trey Lance over Russell Wilson? And it's a very good question.
Good question.
If you notice, they are back-to-back. That's the first point I'm going to make. So I'm not predicting that one is miles better than the other. For me, they're going to be very, very similar. What I actually think, I'm probably slightly conservative on Trey Lance. And I actually think if I'm going to revise this, I could probably put Trey Lance ahead of Jalen Hurts. Because, and the reason I say this is that the way that San Francisco play is suited perfectly to Jalen Hurts, to Trey Lance. And the sense of, you've got Trey Lance has got a huge arm. He can make the big plays on the run. He can make the big plays out of the pocket, but he's going to do so much damage with his legs. Trey Lance is going to run for probably 700 yards. Maybe more, maybe less. But let's draw a line of somewhere around about 700 yards. So you got that on the ground, but he's also going to throw for over 3,000 yards. And that's going to be the difference. Is you look at the players who have that huge rushing floor. So I'm thinking Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. That 3,000 line is where they're going to struggle to get to. Like, that's their ceiling. I look at Trey Lance thinking, I could put him in pen for 3,000 yards if he's fit. And that's the only question is this is all health dependent. He's not unhealthy. He should be fine. But Trey Lance, because of that big playability, because of that big arm, he can get the ball down the field. He can make those plays on the run. He can make those sort of Mahomes ridiculous, like real highlight plays. And I think that's where Jalen Hurts, keep getting confused. Trey Lance is going to make those plays. He's going to make enough of those big plays to have those sort of ceiling games. Like for me, Jalen Hurts very rarely is going to put up like a 35-point game. He'll do it every now and again, but it's not going to be often. I see Trey Lance doing that a little bit more. And with Russell Wilson, and the reason I've got Russell Wilson lower than both of you is because people forget what it's like for a QB to walk into a system and understand that system. And I know the argument that people are going to give to me, well, Matt Stafford did it last year. Matt Stafford did do it last year, and Tom Brady did it the year before. The big difference between those, one, Tom Brady's the best quarterback that's ever played the game. Matt Stafford, again, experienced. But both of those walked into stable coaching situations with very experienced NFL coaches who had been into the playoffs, had winning seasons, had all the other pieces, knew the offense they wanted to run. Nathaniel Hackett is a brand new head coach. He's a brand new head coach. And that's not a derisory comment that he can't coach in the NFL. But they're going to figure things out, and it's going to take a bit of time. And there's going to be games where it's going to be a bit choppy, and people need to get on this. We saw this with Tom Brady in his first season. Tom Brady was first season in the Buccaneers. He won the Super Bowl, but fantasy-wise, he was very inconsistent. And I think, Matt Stafford, till the end of the season, was very much like that. He improved, but the first half of the season, I know Matt Stafford finished QB7, but as you said, if Kyler Murray was fit, if Lamar Jackson was fit, and this is assuming that all these players play all the games, and we know that's not going to happen. So that's the other precursor when you think of rankings. So I just think for me, I look at all the players above, they're all in very stable situations, except for Trey Lance is an unknown quantity, and then Russell Wilson's in an unknown situation. And that's kind of why I've got Russell Wilson where he is, because I just think he's going to have great games. He's going to win you weeks. He's in a much better offense than he was. But his rushing side is very limited. And we're in a brand new offense with a brand new head coach. He's never been an NFL head coach before. It's just going to take him a while to get going. And I think that is going to penalize him. I think the first 6 games are going to be very, very difficult. And they're in a tough division. That's the other thing is people forget they're in a tough division where they've got some good defenses. You know, the Chargers have beefed up. The Chiefs have beefed up on D. The Raiders have beefed up on D. And I know the Denver Broncos are no slouch on D. I mean, that's going to be a tough division. It's going to be brutal. So, I just think it wouldn't shock me if it was much higher. But I just can't see a path to where Russell Wilson's going to finish in the top 12 unless one of those guys above finishes gets injured and misses time.
Can I just take a step back to Trey Lance?
Yeah.
Because I've got him down at 16, and I am lower, I think, than most people on Trey Lance. And there's one reason and one reason only, and that is Jimmy Garoppolo is still on that roster. If Jimmy Garoppolo leaves, Lance gets a, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 place push in my eyes because he becomes a starter. But right now, I don't believe he starts week 1, and therefore I can't put him higher.
Well, Jimmy Garoppolo isn't going to be ready for week 1. That's the first point. Yeah. He's not fit. And again, that's the reason he's not been traded. He's not been traded because he can't pass a medical. And he's kind of missed the boat. And the bottom line is, there for me is there's no chance of Jimmy Garoppolo starting the season. Now, listen, if Trey Lance has a stinker in the first month of the season, could they go back to Jimmy if Jimmy's on the roster? Yeah, I could see that.
Yep.
But no, I think chances of Jimmy Garoppolo starting week 1 is probably about 1%. Just because he's not fit. If nothing else, even if he's still on the roster, he's not going to start week 1 because he's not going to have enough reps in time to get fit. So I can understand that, but I think your concern is, I don't know. It's a bit. I think you need to probably move. I mean, I'm not going to say do rankings. I think you are too low. I could understand if it was like, I just don't know what he's going to do in the NFL because he's not played for 2 and a bit years. And you go that argument. I go, yeah, I get that. He could be the best thing since sliced bread. He could be like the next Josh Rosen. He could be the next. What's his name? The one who made all that, Sam Bradford. You know, a lot of these guys can flame out, and if you want to hesitate on that, I could, yeah. But if it's because Jimmy Garoppolo's on the roster, I wouldn't worry because he won't be, or if he is, he's not going to play unless something seriously happens. So, and if it does, it means that your Trey Lance bet, even at 16, is going to be off because he's not going to play. So yeah, I get the point, but I don't think you have to worry. I don't think you have to worry too much there. So yeah,
fair enough. So I've run it down a little bit to our kind of early QB2s, mid QB2s, I guess. What sticks out to you here?
Well, you're way higher on Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
Than both me and the consensus.
Yeah.
So I'm curious why you've got Tannehill at 15. Well, I mean, I have Tannehill at 19. Consensus has him at 21. By the way, the difference between these are going to be like 40 points over a season. We're not talking big values here. So I guess for me, I mean, the glaring one to me is why you've got Cousins behind. Oh, you've got Cousins ahead. So I've got
Tannehill there purely because he allowed you 5+ rushing touchdowns a season.
Okay.
Matt Ryan's not going to. Carson Wentz isn't going to. Jared Goff isn't going to. Ryan Tannehill will. I think Robert Woods comes back. I think that's a good addition for him. I think he's up and running in minicamp. Traylon Burks remains to be seen. Let's face it, they're not going to throw the ball much like they do anyway, especially if Henry can stay fit. But he will get you inside the 5. He will get you 5, 6 touchdowns on the season. He got 7 the last 2 seasons on his feet, and he got 4 the year before and he only played 12 games. So it was purely because of the adage of the rushing touchdowns that he had.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I could definitely see that. I think for me, the only 2 players I think we need to talk about here. You are lower on Tua at 21 than both me and the consensus at 17. So that's the first one. So you're thinking of Tua with Tyreek Hill finishing behind Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. Is that one really intrigues me? I can't see. I would need an explanation on that because I can't see it.
Okay. I quite like Jared Goff coming into this year, and that feels wrong to say. but I like the addition of Chark they've put in there, DJ Chark. They've got Jameson Williams, who for me was QB1 coming out of the draft. If he can get healthy and they can use him, Amon Brown stepped up. Hawkinson missed games. In drafts at this time of year, Goff's going off the board as one of the last 3-4 kind of usable starters. I think he could be a decent QB2 if you've punted it late on in a draft to pick up. I think he'll be consistent with it, where I think Tua won't be. That was my reasoning around them. Fields, Tua, Zach Wilson, I feel can all have game-winning performances from a fantasy perspective. But I also think there'll be weeks where they hurt you. And I think Goff is probably going to be a little bit more consistent than those.
Oh, okay. I mean, I can't believe I'm going to stick up for Tua here, but I am a little bit. Tua's arguably outside of the most elite QBs, he's the most accurate. He's going to have so he's going to have 67 to 68% completion percentage across the year. He has got those explosive weapons that he's not had. People forget who he was throwing to last year. He was throwing to Jalen. When Jalen Waddle got going, and it took a while. He was explosive, and that's not even really his game, is to be that explosive. But on the other side of the ball, once they started doubling Jalen Waddle, he was throwing to Devonta Parker, who was crocked. He had Will Fuller, who didn't play. He had all these
most reliable outside of Waddle.
But but that's for me. He's a tight end, so he didn't have those weapons. This year they've brought in Cedric Wilson, who's underrated for me massively.
Yep.
You've got Tyreek Hill, you've got Jalen Waddle. All of a sudden, that receiving core has got a huge uplift. The offensive line is better. He's going to have more time to make those plays that he needs to. He's got better running backs. They couldn't even run the ball for Toffee last year. I had no running back who was really, they were still out there with Myles Gaskins. They're one. It was madness. Like, they just didn't have a good offense. This year, I look at them and think, and they've got an innovative head coach. And I'm contradicting myself here, but Mike McDaniel is a well-proven, well-known offensive coordinator who is going to scheme Tua into games. And I think, the big part of why he got this job is what he's going to do with Tua, not just what he's going to do with the rest of the team after the way that Brian Flores left. So, I think for me, Tua's, yes, I'm not predicting Tua's going to be QB1, but I do think he's going to have a better season than some of those you've named. And then the other one that stands out for me is Jameis Winston. I'm a bit higher than both of you in the consensus. It's just because I know he's erratic. He's going to have big disappointing games.
Yeah.
But
mine's got injury related as well. I think if he misses 3-4 games, that puts him down.
Yeah. So I don't factor in injuries into rankings. I literally just think about, unless they're like someone like Dalvin Cook, who is perennially injured every year, then obviously I put a factor in there, but very rarely do I do it that often. So for me, I do have Winston higher because I just think he's the sort of person that can have those huge games. When I'm thinking about game-winning weeks going down the pile, and I'm not saying Winston's going to be consistent, because if he did, I'd put him in the QB1 range. But I think I can see Winston putting up a 30-plus point week a few times.
Minus 20 point.
Yeah, but I can't see that with the likes of everyone else down there. But and then where we are with everybody else, I mean, Watson, it's a crapshoot because no one knows how long he's going to be out. I think we were pretty consistent with the same sorts of players. I'm probably a little bit higher on Kenny Pickett because I think he starts week 1 and probably others don't.
I think there's a clear elite tier here. There's kind of 2 leagues in the middle that these guys can flip around and these guys can flip around. And then there's the bottom, and you'll all have them in different orders. But I reckon if you split it into 4 like that, I reckon there won't be a lot of difference between the 4.
No, I probably not. And I think if you're looking at the names from 23 onwards, I mean, you've got Winston there, which you said is down to injury, and you've got Lawrence in there. But I think outside of that, the names, we've all got Jones at 25. Yeah. I've got Davis Mills slightly north of that, but not much. And then I think all these guys are split by 20 points ish. Yeah. We're not talking about 20 to 40 points down the bottom here. We're not talking a big margin here. We're talking about one good game.
Yeah.
So, I think down the bottom, I don't really pay attention to rankings at this point of the draft because, one, they're not getting drafted. unless it's a super flex.
Yeah.
In which case, it's interesting just to see where we've got everyone. And if you listen to this on the audio, then do tune in, but to the YouTube channel, and you can see this. But I think where we've got everyone is just, as you say, they're into different tiers. I don't think there's any major shocks. I think other than the fact your love for Jared Goff was something I didn't expect on tonight's
Jared
episode.
Goff, QB2 numbers.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I mean that wouldn't shock
Consistency
me.
of coaching, brought in improved offensive players.
I mean, you've got him as a top 20 QB. I think that's spicy. Like I genuinely think that is quite spicy.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I genuinely think him and
PPR. He's only finished outside the top 20 once, and that was last year, and he missed 3 games, and he finished 24. He was a top 20 QB last year if he plays them all.
Well, let's see what happens. I don't see it, but let's see what happens. I love it. I love the belief. I love the belief.
Huh?
I love the belief.
Awesome. Right, let's move on, shall we? Running backs. How's that scale? Is that visible?
Yeah, spot on.
Super.
So obviously the first notable here is
the top guys. I'm glad you've done that.
Yeah. Well, I just think. Well, I'll let you explain it. I reckon my answer is going to be exactly the same as yours.
So in every single redraft league, I'm picking him. If it's not super flex, no matter where I'm picking him, Christian McCaffrey's on the board, I'm taking him off it. Bottom line, he is individually the best fantasy asset of anybody on these spreadsheets we could have on any given week. Yes, the gamble is, does he stay fit? Can he play the season? The guy can put up 20 plus points through receiving and carries without his carries and touchdown scores. So that guy's going to win you games if he's on the field. So I will be taking the risk and picking him up everywhere I can.
Yeah, 100%. You have to be picking him. This is a guy who is an absolute league winner. And again, as I've sort of stated, I've got him there on the premise he plays every game.
Yep.
There are some players I will give a slight handicap to with injuries, like Saquon Barkley. But I'm not convinced that. I think Christian McCaffrey was rushed back last year because of how important he is. And that's hurt the offense significantly. He was also shut down when he probably could have come back last season. For that reason, is how important he is. So for me, if they both play 17 games, there's absolutely no chance for me that Jonathan Taylor outscores Christian McCaffrey.
In every game, he played more than 50% of the snaps.
Yeah.
He got 27-7, 24-7, 26-1, 24-9 last year. And that's on 50% of the snaps. Jonathan Taylor's not putting up their numbers.
No, and I think Naheem Hines coming back will hurt him. But I think the one thing with Taylor, and we've got him at 2, is because of the fact that we know he can put up those consistent numbers. But he breaks away. He's got that home run threat. He's going to put a lot of touchdowns in on the ground. He's going to be very solid and very consistent.
I tell you what, I struggled to put him at 2, and I nearly put him lower. Purely on the basis of it. And again, it was slightly injury related to others. Jonathan Taylor finished RB1 last year. He would not have done if McCaffrey, Henry, and Cook had stayed fit, in my opinion. And I don't believe they'll stay fit again. McCaffrey, I'll take the risk on because of the huge upside he offers you. Henry, I don't see playing all the games. I don't think Cook does either now. Taylor is the safer bet there. But if this was last year and Jonathan Taylor had the year before, if that makes sense, I'd have Henry above Taylor before the injuries come in.
So I very nearly put Henry above Taylor, and I'm not necessarily unsure that might not change by the beginning of the season. I want to see how Henry does in preseason, but for me, I agree with you. Henry is a twice rushing champion. He's put so many elite numbers on. There is an age concern there, of course there is. But
we've just spoke about the receivers in Tennessee being different and a whole new setup. They're gonna, if he is healthy, they are gonna run that ball and run it and run it and run it, and Henry wins that title if he plays all the games.
Yeah, 100%. So I can't see, I can see myself probably changing that. But our top 4's all the consensus has Derrick Henry. The consensus
6.
has Derrick Henry at 6, which I just think is too low.
Way below. Below
I
10
don't.
as well.
I don't think I could have him there, and I think there's a few people that are really marking him down there that shouldn't be, because I think it's unkind. I don't understand that one at all. I don't think I ever will. So I think when it comes to, again, I'm looking at fantasy winners, I just think Henry's proven to be a fantasy winner for you. Cook always kind of lets you down in the playoffs. That's just what happens. So we've just had a question from Stacey, so let's answer this. So Montgomery at 10 and no love for Swift.
I noticed the Swift. I was coming on to that.
Right. I'll start with
my Lions bias, but go on.
No. Well, no, because you're there with the consensus. I'll start with Montgomery. Montgomery has proven that he is effectively a league winner. We've seen this time and time again in 2 seasons ago when he finishes the RB4. He had that monster end of season run where he was effectively the RB1 from week 12 onwards. Right? Let's look at the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears let Allen Robinson out the door, huge amount of targets. They replaced him with Byron Pringle.
Venus Jones,
who's the oldest rookie ever to play in the NFL. He's going to be getting his bus pass before he plays a snap. Like, do you know what I mean? We're talking about they've not invested at the wide receiver position.
Nope.
So you've got Darnell Mooney, and then you've got effectively players who have had very, very few catches in the NFL.
Yep.
All right. So, and I'm not saying they can't make plays, but that says to me all the value is on them running the ball. That's what they're going to do. They're going to play power football. They're going to run the ball. So for me, I look at a player in David Montgomery who I think is criminally underrated. I think he's proven it's an injury concern thing. It's the only thing that's going to hurt you with David Montgomery. But David Montgomery has proven he will put up elite weeks and elite numbers. More importantly, he will punish really bad run blocking teams. Like, he's the sort of player that will put up like 160, 170 yards up against really bad blocking teams. And his schedule isn't too bad. That's the other thing as well, is he's going to have teams he can run on. You know, you look at the Green Bay Packers in their division and you think, oh, okay, the Green Bay Packers defense is good. Terrible against the run. Has been terrible against the run for the last 5 years. It's going to be terrible against the run this year. Or it might even slightly improve. It's still not going to be great against the run. So my point is David Montgomery is going to have very favorable fixtures. I think he's going to be an RB1. It was hard for me to keep him down at 10, but I look at the players above and think there's just absolutely no chance he's going to finish higher than that. The reason I got DeAndre Swift as low as I've got him is that DeAndre Swift has never, ever proven, he's never proven that he can put up consistent elite numbers.
Okay.
So he has got the quality, but he's never finished above RB20 in fantasy football.
Yeah, fair enough.
So he's never finished above RB20. His situation has not changed, except for the fact he's got more competition for targets with DJ Shark coming in. I can't see him getting enough volume. I can't see him getting enough volume. That's the bottom line is I look at the players around him. So I'm looking at where you've both got him. So you've got him above Fournette. Can't see him getting anywhere near the volume that Fournette's going to get this year. Chubb, I assume Chubb you've got there for injury reasons. Mind you, I've got Chubb lower, but for me, I've got him there for injury reasons.
I actually thought Chubb was quite high on my list, and I've kind of hedged it on Kareem Hunt being shifted out.
Fine.
I think Hunt's
and that is likely.
Yeah,
and that's likely. He is on the cut range, and they could
PPR
go
and Hunt stays. Chubb's going down 5-6 spots.
Yeah, fair enough. So I think I've got it that I think Hunt stays because the fact they're in a win now window, and he's the better talent.
Yeah.
And I think there's pressure on the front office, especially if Watson doesn't play. And I think that's going to be almost as much of a determining factor in Hunt staying or going than anything else. So I'm with you 100%. I could see that being there, but I look at the players that you've got over like Kamara. We know if Kamara's playing 17 games, which is still quite likely. The guy was 2 years ago. He was the RB1 in fantasy football.
Yeah.
So we're marking him. We've all marked him down because of the fact he could get a ban. But if not, there's no other reason to mark him down. Aaron Jones, a couple of top 5 finishes in fantasy football. Ezekiel Elliott has never not been an RB1 in fantasy football. These are the guys that you have ranked below a guy who's never finished above RB20. So I just don't see. I don't see the volume.
Jared Goff effect.
But Jared Goff's argument that you make, I can kind of respect in the fact of I don't agree with it, but I respect it. I don't understand that. I can't get on board with the Swift argument because he's got an excellent running back in tandem with him, who's going to eat into his volume. So so he's not a bell cow. So people are ranking Swift over bell cows. Like for me, Fournette's a bell cow. He's going to be run the wheels off. Chubb potentially going to be a bell cow, especially if Hunt goes. Kamara is going to be a bell cow. He's going to have all that work.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you could put a guy who's not going to be a bell cow over a guy who's potentially going to be one. That's my sort of argument. I guess for me, the only sort of range. So I think Chubb could go up. Connor with what he did at the goal line, he's going to score a boatload of touchdowns in that offense. And then it's Josh Jacobs versus DeAndre Swift. And they were a coin flip for me. And the only reason I've gone Jacobs is Jacobs has had back-to-back RB1 seasons.
Yeah.
So if I'm really close on players, I'll always go with the player who's done it versus the player who hasn't.
Fair enough.
So, yeah.
Javonte Williams, one consensus at 13, I'm at 25, and you're at 24. But I think we know the answer to this, don't we?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, you and I both.
It's a shared backfield, people.
Exactly that.
Is he the more talented back? Yes. Is he a great dynasty asset? Yes. Could he have huge potential in the years to come? Yes. Is he in redraft this year? No. It's a shared backfield, exactly the same as it was last year.
Absolutely that. Cam Akers is a wild one. So you and I have him ranked at 21. I'll be honest, I struggled to put him there. I almost took him out completely.
Okay.
How many NFL regular season games has Cam Akers played?
6, maybe 7. Top of my head,
without
looking.
It's 9.
Okay.
And in 3 of those games, he left injured.
Yeah.
So he played 6.
He completed 6. I knew that.
He's finished 6 games in the NFL as a player.
Yeah.
And he didn't start some of those games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are we ranking him as the RB17?
And his backfield hasn't changed.
No, he's still got Henderson there. They've still got players there. I can't get on board with. I mean, I'll be honest.
I think consensus got him above Zeke, which is mental for me, crazy. But yeah,
it's absolutely cuckoo. Like that can't happen for me. So I can easily see a path to me taking Cam Akers out of where I've got players here because I think there's some players I can move up. Etienne now with the news of James Robinson maybe missing time. Yeah. Etienne will probably move up the board. He'll probably go above Akers for me now. I could easily put a path to me putting Gibson above Akers. You have done. I can see me probably doing something similar. J.K. Dobbins might also be one as well that I can move up. I'm just worried that it depends on what Gus Edwards is going to do and how fit he is. There is one player I have to ask you about. I know it's off the back of last week. Is Kenneth Walker.
It is off the back of last week, purely at Everton. And I listened to what he said and the opportunity he's going to have. Rashad Penny is not going to play this season. Well, I'd be amazed if he plays the season, but even if he does, Walker's going to walk straight in and he's going to have opportunity. Him and Etienne are almost in a similar position because Etienne hasn't took the field in the NFL yet for me. So them two are flip-flopping with injured backfields. I just think the Seahawks are renowned for running the ball hard, heavy, and early in games. And I think he will get, by default, yardage because he's going to get opportunity.
I agree that they're going to run the ball a lot, but it seems to me that the entire world has forgotten that Chris Carson's on that roster, and
I
that's
don't
the part
see. I
I
don't
don't
believe
like.
Chris Carson plays another snap in the NFL.
Oh wow, okay, so that's where
That's
you and
why
I.
I'm basing it on. Yeah,
So
I'm a Chris Carson fan.
have you looked at where I've put Kenneth Walker?
I haven't. Let's scroll.
That's why
Oh
I'm
wow,
laughing.
50.
I've got him at 50.
Yeah.
I just think, and I could be wrong, and I might revisit this entire situation. I just think they're all going to cannibalize each other.
Okay.
So for example, I've got Walker at 50, Penny at 51, and I've got Carson at 63. I just think I think they're all going to cannibalize each other. I think they're all going to have, and it might be that Ken Walker might end up getting. But listen, I'm also the guy that will draft him in the 7th or 8th round out of hope. I'll take the shot because I
As I
think
said
in
with
that
Evan last year,
range,
he's one of them ones in those late rounds, and you need an odd flex player, and RB3 to sit there and be buying cover. He's one of those that could become an RB1, and he may not, but he's
100%.
of all the rookies probably the one best prime to do so, as Evan said last week. So, yeah, it's a gamble when you redraft to pick him up, but he's in a prime position to succeed.
Yeah, and I think that's it. The one thing I want to call out here on the consensus, because I think most of this is they're all in similar ranges. You know, we're up a few, up, down a couple. I'm massively low on Ken Walker, so I'll call that out. And I'll probably revise that situation. Once I start to see minicamp and preseason, these start to get a lot better. It's when I've got ambiguous situations, I penalize the player.
Yeah.
When it's so ambiguous, I don't know how it's going to go.
As
I
we
have
to
to.
Hall, Michael Carter.
Yeah.
That is
Similar.
last week.
Yeah, exactly. I will always be more conservative in my ranking because history tells me to be more conservative. Yeah, that went everywhere, that message, but I've seen it.
Oops.
Patterson, the consensus has Patterson at 36, and I think that is crazy.
Right. Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't understand how
a
a player
back in the
who
backfield, especially in the PPR league.
he's RB9. He's not going to finish RB9 this year. I don't think you and I have got him anywhere near that sort of range.
I've got him at 22. You got him at 17.
18, yeah. Oh no, it's 17. Yeah, 17. Yeah, that's what I mean. I just think I can't see how he's not going to be an RB2. Just because there's no one else there. It's purely just by default. It's not going to.
What did worry me with him a little bit is the late usage of him in the last season tailed away rather dramatically. And now it may have been a niggle that we didn't know about. It may have been saving him a bit for this year because of the tread on the tyres. But yeah, just made me wary a little bit.
I think they were tanking.
Yeah.
I think there was an element of tanking there. Because you've got a brand new coaching staff, a brand new GM. No one's under pressure to do anything that year.
Yeah.
I think 36 is wild. I don't get it. Let's switch to wide receivers. Do wide receivers quickly, and then there's not much to really review with tight ends.
Cool.
Because when we do tight ends, you'll see. So I'm going to call this out is that I think you and the consensus are wild on Chase.
Okay.
Wild. I got him at 9, and I'm thinking I'll probably move him down to 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think he's in line for touchdown regression. He massively outperformed his efficiency metrics.
Right.
I can't see that happening. I can't see him getting a lot more volume than what he got because you've got Higgins, you've got Boyd. I can't see him growing his share. So if he's not going to grow his share and he overperformed in efficiency, there's only one route he can go, which is down. So he's at 5. I see him coming down to that sort of 9 to 11 range.
Okay.
Because I just can't see him getting many more. I can't see a way in which they can throw the ball much more than they did.
Yeah.
And none of the targets have gone. Nixon's still there. Boyd's still there.
Yeah,
Higgins is still
offense.
there.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how he can get. He's not going to get more efficient. If he gets more efficient, I'll stick my hands up and go, "Hey, do you know what? I called it wrong."
If anything, they've added Hayden Hurst, who's a better touchdown tight end than what they had last year. So if anything, those touchdown targets could be taken away.
Well, he got a lot of long touchdowns, which there's an element of that skill, but an element of that is also bad blocking, bad luck. So, I don't think there's much here that's that crazy. We're kind of all in line with similar sort of players. We're both a bit higher on Debo. We all have.
We're intrigued to see AJ Brown since the draft because I reckon he'd have been up in the 3, 4, 5 range pre-draft.
We've all got him at 11. I look at the top 12 and they're about all the same.
Yeah,
there's no one in that top 12. Here's one for you. You've got Jalen Waddle at 13.
No, I've got him at 12. See, you keep reading this Excel number rather than the
rank number. So here's what's wild for me. You have got Hill and Waddle.
Yeah, as 2 top 12 wide receivers and a rubbish QB. Yeah, I get
and
that.
You've got 2 at 22. That makes no sense.
Nope.
Something's got to give in your rankings because that's not going to work.
Yep.
Yeah.
There is an argument to it, and this is a learning curve for everybody when you do them. Of course it's to study that extra detail in it, and you may go, "Yeah, he's a better receiver than him." And if I was drafting next, I'd take him, and then I'd take him, and do it that way. But they have to correlate, and it's the more often you do it, the more you look at it, the more it correlates, as you can see. I need to correlate mine a little bit better.
Yeah, I think you've either got to look at 2 or you've got to look at one of the receivers. There's no one out here that's too wild. You're significantly higher on Waddle than the consensus and us. I'm way down on Waddle. I've actually got him
I'm only 3 out of the consensus. So I'm not a million miles away off them.
No. But you've got 2 so far down, which is why I was shocked. You've got Chris Olave very high. I think you've got a lot of your rookies.
I do.
Reasonably high.
I did a show 11 last week. Rookies were fresh in the brain when I finalised these for this show. I just think Olave's got a clear route to being the outside receiver. I don't think Thomas plays a lot at all, if I'm honest. So I think Olave has that outside receiver slot at the Saints. And with the way Winston can throw the ball to outside receivers, he could be in for a big year for me.
So as you see, I'm massively down on rookies. I don't have any of them near my top 24. I have Russell Gage. Anyone who's ever listened to me will not be shocked that I've got Russell Gage aggressively ranked. But yeah, I don't think there's too many shocks. I mean, there's a few here, but you and the consensus slightly down on Godwin, probably due to injury. But I don't think there's any major. I've got Burks as my first rookie. I just think opportunity. I'd go opportunity. Him and London probably aren't too far off. I've got him in that sort of range. I'm a bit down on Mike Williams. I just don't think he can repeat. But we're all down on him for where he finished last year. So
here's my big standout. Jerry Jeudy for me is at 38.
Yeah, I don't think I'm much higher than that.
I haven't seen your Jeudy. You're at 22. 16 spots.
Yeah, I am.
And so is the consensus, 24.
Okay, yeah. So I am a bit higher. I thought it was a bit lower than that. Yeah, I can see why you've got him there. I can get that. I think there's a few different areas here that you can look at. But the other thing to consider is, and I appreciate time, is that the points difference between these are going to be literally like a few points each. Yep. It's so wafer thin, this range. Once you get past 26, 27, it's literally, if I went and gave Michael Gallup like 15 more points, he jumps about 10 spots in my rankings. Like it's nuts. It's so close here that this could be like 2 tiers, what we're seeing on the screen.
Correct, yeah.
So that's where it's interesting. And last one, we'll just do Titans because just to pull it up, you, me, and the consensus have the same top 4, same top 5 in the same order.
Correct.
Which tells you that tight ends are completely pointless. Because none of us have looked at each other's rankings at any point.
I am surprised you've got Gronk solo, though.
I just think he takes a slight step back in the offense.
Okay.
I think he takes more of a blocking role. I think Russell Gage is going to take some of that role. It's kind of why I have Gage so aggressively ranked. I think some of that touchdown. I think some of the touchdown is going to go to Evans.
22.
Yeah, because I think people aren't sure he's coming back. So
he is coming back.
Yeah. I just looked at the TD. I looked at the players above, and I struggled to move Gronk higher than that. The only player I think I could probably move him over is Dallas Goedert, just because of the extra targets that have come onto the team. But
Fair.
that's about it.
Cool.
But it's proof that tight ends don't matter because we've all ranked the top 5 exactly the same.
Take one late, early, or just grab
And-
something down here somewhere.
And other than the consensus being in love with Pat Freiermuth and we're not, there isn't any real difference. Those top 14, 15 names are all virtually the same, barring I've got Logan Thomas instead of Mike Gesicki, and that's about it. So yeah, the tight ends are the tight ends. The order's pretty set. There's not really a lot to glean from this other than, as you say, take one early or just punt it. And with that, it's time to finish. So
is our rankings, indeed.
We'll probably do another episode like this in another. Yeah, we'll probably review them in a month's time, and you'll see that they'll be quite different as we start to get some news of mini camps and things like that. But it's a good thing to do, and I hope you've learned a lot. And it's how you process your rankings and how you do things. And this is where stylistically and opinions things change radically. But I hope it's been useful. I hope you've enjoyed the video. You've got some use out of it, everyone at home. And all the competitions, listen to this whole pod, join in on the competitions, make the most of them. Consistency Guide, Steve Rains Bowl, FFCC, Q&A, 2 weeks' time.
Yes, get your questions in.
All right. And until next week, Rush Nation, as always, keep rushing.